Hey, She Ace That listeners, find us on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Every subscribe, like, and follow goes a long way, and I can't thank you all enough for your support. And with that, let's get into today's episode. Hey, everybody, welcome back to She Ace That. It's your host, Alyxandra, and today we have an incredible guest joining us, Maya Winterhoff, middle blocker from Charlottesville, Virginia, who wrapped up one of the most decorated careers in Appalachian State volleyball history and is now playing professionally for the Columbus Fury in the MLV. Maya was the very first App State volleyball player to ever be drafted into the MLV, the number 20 overall pick, and the only player from the entire Sun Belt Conference selected in the 2025 draft. She led the Sun Belt in the hitting percentages for multiple seasons, started all 112 matches of her career, surpassed 1,000 career kills, and earned everything from SBC Freshman of the Year to AVCA All Region First Team. On top of all of that, she's a three-time CSC academic all district honoree. So she was definitely taking care of business in the classroom too. And what I love about Maya's story and what I'm really excited to share with you all today is that she's put in the work and has become one of the best players we've seen and earned her way to the professional level. And that's what that's all about. So with that, Maya, welcome to She's That.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so
Thank you so much
excited.
for being here. So, can you take us back to when volleyball came into your life and what it was about the sport that clicked with you?
Yes, growing up in Charlottesville, it's a college town. That's where the University of Virginia is. And so most of the events you do are going to various UVA sporting events. And I had gone to lots of basketball games, a couple football games. I played basketball a lot, and so I love the basketball games, but I really liked the volleyball games. And so when I got to middle school, and that was my first time like being able to play volleyball, I loved it. I was so excited because I watched all the UVA girls. I thought I knew them so well. They were my best friends, and it was just like our family event. My sister would go, my parents would go, and we went to a lot of games each year for my whole childhood, honestly. And so I got to play in sixth grade, and it's honestly crazy that I like volleyball because my first year I had no friends on my team. I got like moved up to the B team because I could serve it over the net because I played baseball. And so I was a pitcher. And so I had that skill, maybe a little bit better than some other people did. And if you know volleyball, you know when you're starting out, if you serve the ball on the court, you're going to win the point.
Yeah.
And so that was what got me moved up to the next level. I had no idea how to pass or set or hit, although no one was really hitting it at all. And so since I was like the only sixth grader on my team, I didn't really know anyone. And I was in there to serve, and I didn't do much at all that whole season. And I remember my dad talking about going to my first game, and he was expecting me to say like, oh, I hated it. Like, I like basketball and baseball more. I don't want to play volleyball. And I told him I loved it, and I have not looked back since. So it's just, I know volleyball was meant to be for me because my first year playing, I had no friends and probably touched the ball 10 times throughout the season, aside from when I served it. So ever since then, I've loved it. I have grown to make many, many friends that I've played volleyball with, coaches that will be in my life forever. I've gotten so many opportunities, traveled to so many cool places, and I wouldn't change any of it at all. That's how I got started, and it's all thanks to UVA volleyball. But it is kind of crazy how much I like volleyball, considering my first season I had no friends on my team and still found a way to love it. So
And middle school is tough, like it's
yeah.
a tough age to start. And that's like really when I feel like maybe find your sport niche, kind of like you're starting to figure out what you like the best, but then you're
Yes.
navigating the team dynamics or lean girls start in middle school. It's great to be a part of a team dynamic, but also you're throwing yourself into something new. And I just really respect you for pushing through that and finding something that you loved at that time, regardless. Were you like continuing to play other sports throughout, high school, or did you just go directly to volleyball?
Yeah. So I played basketball and baseball. Baseball, I started at T-ball. So I must have been like 4 years old when I started playing baseball. And I loved baseball. I still to this day wish that I could still be playing baseball, but I kind of just had to stop. I was a pitcher again. So that's why I never switched to softball. I didn't like softball. I like baseball. and the boys were just getting older and bigger, and it was kind of gonna be harder for me to, like, catch up to the level that they were playing at, but it worked perfectly when I started playing volleyball. Like, the transition wasn't even a question. I think I would have been pretty disappointed to have to stop playing baseball if it weren't for volleyball. So it worked out
Yeah.
really, really well. I had been playing basketball, and I loved it kind of up until I got to middle school,
Mhm.
and I realized that I didn't like going to practice anymore. And I still liked
Yeah.
playing in games, and I still liked competing, but I didn't like going to practice. It's hard to play a sport if you don't like going to practice, and so I was just like, "Man, like, I don't like basketball the way I used to." And then I started volleyball, and I realized that practice should be fun and
Mhm.
is fun. So once I realized, because I was kind of like, "Oh, but it's just practice, like, it's not supposed to be the best thing, like, you're only practicing so you can get better, so you can win." And I was like, "Okay, like, that's worth it." But then I realized that practice could be fun and enjoyable, and, I should look forward to practice almost every day. You know, there's gonna be a day here and there that you maybe aren't feeling it, but that was another kind of telltale for me that I loved volleyball because I love going to volleyball practice, and I still feel that way to this day. So I stopped playing baseball and basketball. Like, that season after volleyball, I think I played one more basketball season, and that was it. So I sometimes wish that I kept with other sports, but at the same time, I just didn't enjoy basketball anymore, so why would I keep playing? And it was hard to play baseball. I wish there was another sport that I could have liked, 'cause I love sports. I think
Yeah.
it's so cool when athletes are able to say, "Oh, I can shoot a basketball, I can hit a volleyball, I can play tennis." Like, being able to just be a multi-sport athlete, I think is really cool, and I highly recommend any athlete, don't stop playing. Like,
Totally
throughout high school,
agree.
you'll find a way. My best friend was a volleyball player, basketball player, and track player in high school before she got to college, so you can
Wow.
totally do it. It's very, very much possible. It'll take more time,
Mhm.
obviously, but if you like it, you'll be fine. Like, you'll still be able to get better at volleyball. Playing basketball will make you better at volleyball the same
For
way
sure.
running track or whatever it is. So I know why I didn't play any more sports, and it was just because I didn't like them as much anymore, but I highly recommend, as I wanna be a college coach one day, and I would tell anyone that I would be recruiting, keep doing everything, do it all, it'll make you better, so,
It's focusing on being an athlete too, right? Because as we know
yes.
how volleyball is, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but you never know what position you could be thrown into for different situations.
Yes.
It's always good to be flexible. Everybody I talk to, it's always back to the athlete. It's not always about like how great you are at one specific sport. Obviously, you find your niche that you love more. And I love the advice of enjoying practice. I think that's actually something that hasn't been talked about a lot on here. It's helpful to understand what sport do you enjoy practicing. That's important too. Games are great and we love the competitive side as athletes. That's what drives us. But like really when you have to put the hard work in and, keep your head down but also have fun, it's like
Yes.
what sports are doing that for you? And I think that's just such great advice. So I'm glad you shared that. Going to your high school days, you had a great career in high school and you went to regional championships for the first time in over a decade. So what stands out most to you from that time? And can you walk us through how that felt too?
Oh my gosh, this is the story. Oh, that was my junior year was my COVID year, was
Oh, yeah.
2020 was when I was a junior in high school, and so we didn't really know if we were gonna have a season that year. Right before COVID, my coach had retired, and he had been the coach for, I mean, 20, 30 years. Like, he was the Albemarle High School volleyball coach. Everyone knew who he was. And so it was like a very crazy time of, "Oh my gosh, we don't have a coach. Oh my gosh, it's COVID. Oh, I have 2 years of high school left. Like, what am I supposed to do?" And it trickled into the club that I played for was awesome, but it was really small. And so that COVID year, they didn't have a team. And so I was like, "Am I ever gonna play volleyball again ever? Like, what team am I gonna play on? There are no teams around here that I can play for." So I switched
Yeah.
clubs to a bigger club in Richmond, which was an hour and a half away, and the best thing ever. I met the best teammates, like, those are still my friends. We try to meet up at least once a year with those same teammates now, 4 or 5 years later, so that turned out to be awesome, and it was very awesome, but that was like, it was still very much COVID during when high school season would have been in the fall, so it was like, am I gonna have a high school team? Am I gonna be on a club team? They all kind of worked together to just push back high school season, so we played club, then all the public schools in Virginia switched their high school season from the fall to the spring and made it a little bit shorter.
Wow.
So my club team just stopped playing for those 2 months because a lot of the girls on the team were playing on their high school teams. So we did find a coach, and it happened to be my old club coach who coached a lot of the girls actually that were on my high school team. So it was a very easy transition. He's been coaching for forever. If you know volleyball, you probably know Metro Volleyball Club. And he actually was the one that like started that club and he moved on to Charlottesville and started the club there as well. But so he's awesome. He started Metro Volleyball Club. He knows what he's talking about. And so to get 2 extra years with him was a dream. And so that year, I still everything was so new. It was still very much COVID, and I had been a middle for a couple years at that point, and it looked like I was going to be playing outside on that team. Like my club season that year, I had also been playing middle. So like I have been very much working towards being a middle, and I all of a sudden needed to start playing outside. Just like we talked about with like playing other sports, like you just never know what
Mhm.
you're going to need to do for a team. Sometimes you have a heads up, sometimes you don't have a heads up. And so anything that you enjoy is going to make you better in life. So if you enjoy it, do it. And I think that's why I sometimes wish I still kept playing other sports. Anyways, I was the outside on my team that year, and that was probably the winningest season of volleyball I ever had. Maybe my junior year of college. I guess my junior years were great. Those are definitely my two winningest teams that I played on. And part of that was we couldn't travel a lot, and the teams in my area, again, just weren't great. Volleyball isn't super high level anywhere in Virginia, really, but definitely not in Charlottesville. And so the teams we played were like, we swept a lot of them. And we were going into like the regional semis and regional finals. And we knew we had the skill and the talent to be able to win, but we knew it was going to be hard because we hadn't really challenged ourselves all year long. And so I don't know for sure, but I think we might have been like undefeated going into that regional championship game. And we won the first two sets really easily, I think, but then that third set started to get more competitive. And then we won the match on an ace, and it was so cool. Our bench flew out of their seats. Like we were still 6 foot, like social distancing. I forgot. Yes, we were
Yeah.
social distancing on the bench. And so all the seats on the bench were like staggered and 6 feet away from each other. And so we probably weren't supposed to cheer. We all had our masks on still while we were playing. But this was the coolest thing ever. We just thought we won the regional championship. So they all jumped out of their seats, and I very much disagree. But apparently, this happened before the play was dead. So we won the third set. It was 25-23 on an ace. The other team, like, we thought we just won the regional championship. And so the other team argues with the ref. They say they should be carded for that. We should get the point. Blah, 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 blah,
My
blah.
gosh.
I don't know, honestly, what was spoken, how it all went down. All I know is that we're back on the court and it's 24s. And we have won absolutely nothing yet. And so we ended up
Because you were
losing.
cheering. Like, because
Yes.
you broke the social distancing. Wow.
I think what they argued was that the girls on the bench like cheered onto the court. And so they
Yeah,
were on the court during the play.
sure.
What was hard about it was so the ball like hit the we have like I don't even know what would say like the curtain that comes down
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
like shortens the court. So the ball hit the curtain, but then they tried to play the ball off the curtain and send it over, and the ball also still didn't go over. But balls
Yeah.
off the curtain are not playable. So the ball was dead when it hit the curtain. So we cheered when the ball hit the curtain and we celebrated in that moment. But apparently it wasn't obvious to everyone that the ball hit the curtain.
Oh
So
my
had the ball
gosh.
actually not hit the curtain, like they did cheer too early because by the time the ball like hit the floor,
Yeah.
that's when the ref called the play dead, whatever. So
Wow.
it was really horrible in that moment. I am the most like chill player probably that you will come across. I never get too high and I never get too low. And I think that's a great thing. And I think there are some times that I wish that I could like be more energetic on the court and just like just have a little bit more, but I know that it also is helpful in times that we might be down and people will let what's happening, a bad ref call, whatever, like, get you
Mhm.
down. I'm very much just in the middle. I same with, like, when like, my play, you know exactly what you're gonna get from me in the match. I'm not gonna go off for a crazy number of kills, but I'm not gonna go, like, kill-less in a match, kind of, so to say, like, throughout college. I feel like that was kind of how I tried to play. You knew exactly what you were getting from me in the match, but I have never been more upset than I was in that moment
Mm.
after I thought we won and then we did not win because the call was crazy. Like, I
Wow.
understand the frustration from the other team of, "This is a way to get us back in," but it was a bad call. If I were their coach, I would argue it too, but if I'm the ref, I'm just saying, I'm sorry, you lost." Like, that's just they lost. And so I have also maybe I should get angry more because I have also never played a set as good as I did in that next set that we
Mhm.
played, and we won the next set, so we won the match 3-1. We still got to celebrate. It kind of became a joke for my last year of high school, like, "Guys, don't celebrate too early, don't celebrate too much, you never know what'll happen if you
I
cheer for
know.
your own team." So, all's well that ends well with that, but I was very upset and had to still find a way to finish out the match, and it was the biggest match I'd ever played in, like, in my college career or my volleyball career at that point in time, like, the regional championship. That's really cool, and, like, again, like, the area that I was in, so we would always kind of win, like, the district championship, but they would
Mhm.
never be able to win any farther than that, and so, like, we were considered good for the area, but not for the state or just anything farther, so it was just really cool to know that we could beat, like, some of the other big teams from Northern Virginia that are
Yeah.
just the big schools have more opportunity there, so it was very cool, but yeah, there's a story with that game for sure, and then another story later, my senior year, this was an even
Yeah.
worse call, if you believe it or not,
No.
but so I tend to argue with the refs more than I should sometimes, but I have reason, I think, because
Mhm.
it seems like the refs always go against me. So, that's the only thing that I can kind of again, I'm a very chill player, but if the ref says
It's okay to be
something, I'm
passionate if,
going,
if you're like, "I'm gonna stand up for what is right and what I know," like,
"Yes,
go for it.
I believe that you're wrong, and I
Mhm.
understand that at the end of the day, you're the one with the whistle, and what you say goes,
Yeah.
but if I disagree, I'm gonna tell you that I disagree." And so
Mhm.
I think it will honestly get me into more trouble as a coach than it
Yeah.
has as a player. I only ever got 1 yellow card all throughout my college career. Very
Nice.
impressive, I
That's
think,
good.
considering some things that I may have said. But I do think I like to argue with the refs because I like to argue in my life in general. I'm gonna
Mhm.
argue with you, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but we're gonna have a discussion about it. So we'll see how that ends up going as I become a coach. I get into too much trouble with that because I know it's like assistants are not allowed to talk to the refs whatsoever. Even
Yeah.
in college, like the captain is really the only one that's ever supposed to talk with the
Mhm.
ref, and I am never the court captain because I'm out half the time anyways, so I can't really say much. I'll say something here or there from the bench.
Yeah, well, and the positive nowadays, there's more video, hopefully, I don't know, and that's actually an interesting
Yes.
concept. So for like MLB right now, I don't wanna skip over FState, we'll go back to it, but, like, for MLB, like, do you guys ever do replays, like how they do in football when they challenge certain plays or situations like that? Have they ever pulled up video to make a call, or is it always just immediate?
Yeah, so the MLB actually does have a really good replay system
Okay.
of the cameras are really good. You can see the touches pretty well. I feel confident that like those calls are typically correct. The only time you sometimes get into some trouble is like you get one challenge per set unless you keep winning.
Oh.
But so yeah, the rules are different than they are in the NCAA, and I'm honestly still kind of learning them myself how challenges work. A lot of the like game rules are more similar to international play, which I did know going into it, but it's like the substitution rules are a little bit different. The ball's a
Mhm.
little bit different than the NCAA. plays that are challengeable. I'm still learning. I'll be like, we can challenge that, but you can't sometimes. And then there's some things I think here that you couldn't challenge in the NCAA. If you lose your challenge, like in the NCAA, you get 2 challenges per match. If you keep winning, you keep winning. In the fifth set, you get an extra challenge if
Hmm.
you have lost all of your challenges. So if you had 1 left, we go to 5, you get 2. If you have 2, you don't get 3, but if you had 0, you would get 1 going into the 5th set. In the MLB, it is a challenge per set. And so you get 1 challenge every set. It resets. If you didn't use your challenge, you don't bank the challenge. It's just 1
Hmm.
per set. But if you win, you keep it throughout the set. And so sometimes we run into issues of you lose a challenge early in the set maybe, and then there's another play you'd like to challenge later in the set, but you can't even though you think that the cameras would pick it up easily. And then they have I think it's called Volt 6, where there's no line judges and it's just the camera that is the line judge for the whole court.
Wow.
I happen to think that that technology is not as good. I have nothing to back this up other than my eyes, which are not great. I need to be wearing glasses and I'm not currently. So that is not a valid argument, so to say. But I sometimes think that that's not as accurate, but otherwise it's really good. But there are certain plays that you can't challenge. And so if that's a play you want to argue and it's just not challengeable, it can be kind of frustrating. You want to argue your point, you want to challenge so you can prove them wrong, and you can't
Yeah.
always do that. But I
Wow.
think the refs do a good job overall. It's definitely a difference in the level of ref that we get in the MLB compared to the level of ref we got in the Sun Belt. So I haven't said as much as I have, but of course, these are all professional volleyball players. They're all going to get into it and heat it and have their argument and want to prove their points. There's a little bit of that going on, but I haven't had as
That's
much
so
to
funny.
say this past season, I will say, than I normally do because I think they do a pretty good job.
Awesome. No, thank you for that. It's interesting. From our line, we don't see it how you guys see it, right? And all you guys go through. And so I'd love to have the insight of things that people aren't even thinking about. Some people, like fans, wouldn't even know what a challenge could be sometimes or why, and related to the refs and how to navigate it. Tying back to App State. So, can you walk us through your recruiting process? Were there any other schools you were looking at, and like what made App State the right fit for you?
Yeah, so again, this was my time to get recruited was COVID. And
I
so I
know. I
definitely
feel
had
for
a
you though.
crazy
I haven't even said that yet, but I feel for you because like I
I
graduated college COVID year and that was hard. Like leaving, I couldn't imagine being in the middle of any school. So give
yeah,
you credit.
I will say it's kind of like always a joke I feel like I hear, but at least I wasn't graduating that year of those like 2020 seniors. I feel like they never got their graduation. So at least that wasn't my class. I did get my high school graduation and I'll graduate from college in May. So at least I'm getting my graduations, but it was definitely crazy because this was also the first year of the rule change of the June 15th. You can't talk to coaches you can't talk to college coaches until after June 15th of your sophomore
Yeah.
year. And so my year was the first year that they had that rule. They changed it like May of the year before. So those girls that were the year older than me basically just had 15 days or whatever, a month that they couldn't talk to coaches for and then just kind of picked up right where they left off. So there were a couple of girls like in my grade, I think that had just committed really young and were already committed and didn't really have anything affected in them from the rule change, but most people hadn't committed by like this would have been like my freshman year of high school. So I had talked to a couple coaches here and there my freshman year, but not much at all. I was still very new to volleyball as a freshman. And so I didn't have much. And so it was pretty much June 15th, the who's calling me, who did I want to reach out to before then, see if they might be interested in call me back, sending my film. But it was hard because my last 3 months of club were cut short for COVID. So all those tournaments that I was expecting coaches to be able to see me at where I wasn't seen. There were no camps that summer, so there was no me being able to showcase myself to a coach, but also like camps are a great way for girls to learn, is this coach a good
Hmm.
fit? Are they really who they say they are? Like you get real experience playing for them. And so I didn't have any of that. And I think it worked out okay because I think we were all kind of learning this new process together. Like, I was on the phone with coaches and they were just telling me, "I'm learning as much from you as you're learning from me," which I think is always the case with recruiting of, yes, you recruit the athlete, but you recruit the person as well. And so you want it to be someone
Mhm.
that you're going to connect with. And I will say, having COVID meant that I did nothing every single day. So I had plenty of time to call these coaches. I was not like, oh, I have to do this all day. I can squeeze you in. And I think the coaches kind of felt the same too. Like, their job right now is to recruit players and they're able to do that. And there is nothing else that is part of their job right now at all. No camps to
Mhm.
plan for, like I think it normally is. So good and bad things kind of came with it being the COVID year. But I was talking to schools. I think I was thinking that my big thing was I want to go somewhere south. I liked Virginia. I didn't want to go too far away from home, but I didn't necessarily want to go to UVA, which was 20 minutes down the road. And so I really just I wanted to go somewhere south and I wanted it to be drivable. So picture that region of the United States, the south of Virginia. And my biggest reasoning for that was I wanted to be somewhere warm. I don't like the snow, I don't like the cold, I'm a beach girl. And when it came down to it, my 3 schools that I liked the most were Dayton, which is in Ohio, the University of Delaware, which is north of Virginia, and App State, which is south of Virginia, but in the mountains, so colder than where I was living in Virginia. I remember when I went to do my visit at App State, I don't think there was anyone on campus. Like, it was September 2020, the middle of COVID. But I just remember thinking to myself, I know I'm going to be back here. And I went to Dayton. I really liked Dayton, but I didn't love the school. And so I was glad that I was able to go on a visit there. I think I just wanted a bigger school. And
Mhm.
Dayton was a smaller private school. So it was good to know. I thought that I wanted a bigger school, but it's hard to know until you're on campus. And so I was glad that I was able to go there. And then Delaware was also perfect, just not as perfect as App State was, but I really liked Delaware. This was, I think my sophomore year, we weren't very good, and Dayton and Delaware were good, and they both made the NCAA tournament that year. I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, how did I end up here? My other schools made it to the tournament, and that was like my dream for
Yeah.
college. So definitely bummed that we never made it to the NCAA tournament, but I wouldn't change App State for anything. So not meaning it like that. But I remember that
Mhm.
moment my sophomore year. I was just like, wow, I messed up. Like, something went wrong. How did I end up here? Everything happens for a reason. And I still, again, I love Delaware, but I loved App State even more. The only thing I didn't like was the weather, and it was hard for me to validate saying no to somewhere just because it's a couple degrees colder than I liked, but also both of the other schools that I would have gone to would have been just as cold. And so it's not like I was deciding between App State and Florida or something like that. So
Yeah.
it was like a few degrees here and there isn't making any difference at all. So that was how I ended up at App State. And I wouldn't change it again. I loved it. Ups and downs, as one does have throughout their years of college. But
It's
what sticks out
tough.
to me the most, it's hard. College is hard. College
Even if you're
sports are
not committing
hard.
to a sport but you are doing 2 full-time jobs, right? Even just transitioning to college without it. It's a mental thing, it's physically you're changing your location, and everything that you've
Yes.
been saying too is good things to take into consideration when you're looking at any schools, whether you're playing or not. And I think, especially if you're looking to commit somewhere, it is like all those factors you've been bringing up so far are really important for your happiness those 4 years because it is up and downs, like you're saying.
Yes, with or without sports,
Mhm.
like, you have to find somewhere that you're going to enjoy, and as someone that was doing sports, something I also had to consider was when I'm not playing volleyball, if something were to happen to me and I couldn't play volleyball anymore, would this still be a place that I think I would enjoy? And App State checked all those boxes. So,
Yeah.
it worked out great, but yes, even if you're not playing a sport, these are still, like, picture yourself. This was kind of a silly thing that I did. Then I started to tell people, like, as they were figuring out where they wanted to go to college, like, as seniors, not for a sport or anything, but I put, like, App State 26 in my Instagram bio, and I put Delaware 2020 in my Instagram volleyball or in my Instagram bio, like, Delaware volleyball. And it seems silly, but I honestly think it helped me of if I had App State in there, could I feel good about it or would I be having second thoughts? If I had Delaware
Mm.
in there, would I feel good about this or would I be like, I don't know if I like being attached to this? And I, again, like Delaware was awesome, but it didn't feel quite as right as when I put App State in my bio. And so I would tell a couple
Wow.
of my friends, they were like, where I don't know where I'm going to go. I'm like, pretend you're living your life for a day and this is the decision you made. How do you feel? And I think that really helped. And you can think that without actually putting it in your Instagram bio, but it's just a way to like really feel like you're living this. Like, okay, I've decided to go to App State. How is my life different now compared
Hmm.
to I decided to go to Delaware? And I sat with it for a few days and it was just every time I thought about App State, I was like, yes. Every time I thought about Delaware, I was like, yes, but. And so it
Yeah.
was hard because I never thought Delaware was a no, but it was just there was always something else. And so again,
I feel like
that's
every
how I
decision
land.
has like its pros and cons, and it's like, okay, what one can you lean more towards and feel better about, even if it's like 1% better.
Yes.
You kind of have to weigh those, and that's for club volleyball too, right? If you want to go to a larger club or stay at a smaller club, you're weighing all the pros and cons to every decision that you make in sports. And once you start doing that earlier, it makes it a little bit better as you get older, but it's still something that we leverage for life skills, even off the court too. That's important.
Yes. Oh my gosh. With club, yeah, because I was kind of forced out because my club didn't really have a team that COVID
Yeah.
year, but it was very much a decision of like, this is a big deal switching to this bigger club farther away. Am I even
Mhm.
going to make the team? And so, yeah, it's any decision, you're going to just kind of weigh it out. But I do think something that has really helped for me as I've made big decisions in my life is you commit to the decision for a day and you see how you feel. Even like again, what was just so hard, it was I couldn't pinpoint any reason to not go to Delaware, or there was nothing specific that made App State better. And this is for any decision in life. Like it's going to be
Mhm.
hard. Sometimes it's just a feeling that you have, but totally trust it. Like you know
Yeah.
yourself better than anyone else would. And so just your gut and sit with it.
I really appreciate you saying that, 'cause the worst case scenario too is, hey, maybe you transfer down the road. And
Yes.
it's not ideal, but that is the worst case scenario in that situation. It's always good
Yes.
to focus on, okay, what is the worst case no matter what I pick? And then, like you're saying, kind of lean in with your gut and follow it as best as you can. And I think it's really important and probably helpful to so many people in general, again, whether they're playing sports or not. That goes to different levels of playing sports in college. If you can't play D1, look at D2 or D3 schools. There's still
Yes.
ways to keep a sport you love in your life. I actually had one of my girls on my high school team. She played at App State. She graduated high school in about 2014. I thought it was really cool when I
No
reached out to
way.
you. Yeah, yeah. She was actually, I think she was the first, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure she was the first like D or, player that went D1 from my high school. And it was to App State, which was really cool.
That is
Yeah, it was
so
a cool
cool.
time. Yeah, yeah, and I have some friends that live out there too. So I'm glad you chose it. And again, everything happens for a reason, and now it led you to your path that you're living now. Getting into MLB and your life right now in the chaos. So can you take us to draft day? How do you know you're going to play professional volleyball in the US? Like, did you know this team was interested in you? Did you have conversations with teams leading up to the draft? When did that switch from, okay, college to professional mindset?
Yeah. So this sounds truly unbelievable, but I did not know until I saw my name on the screen. I
Wow.
promise that is a true statement. I really had no idea that I was going to be living in Columbus not even a week after that. And so just as I was kind of like thinking what I wanted to do with my life after college and after season, I know that I want to be a college volleyball coach. And that's kind of what I knew I wanted to do, but I didn't know if I wanted to play. I didn't know how long I wanted to play. All I knew was that I wanted to coach. And so my college coaches left literally like a year ago yesterday, I think. And so it was a crazy time. That was my junior year spring. And typically when college coaches change, it's like December, maybe into January. And so once I made it past January, I thought that I was good, that this is going to be my team for the next year. And that did not happen. And so we had a new coach this past year. I still played at App State, obviously. I was like, no, this is going to be a great year. Like, it's okay. I know it'll be a little bit of a transition, but I really think we still have all the pieces we need to succeed. We had a good start to the season, but it just kind of felt like after that, nothing was quite going the way we expected it to. And I think that was just extra hard having it been my senior year and my last year at App State. And I was so excited for what my senior year was going to be, and it just felt like it was kind of starting to crumble a little bit. So then half of me was like, I never want to play volleyball again. Half of me was like, I can't end on this. Half of like, I just had so many different things that depending on the day, made like changed my mind. And so originally I was thinking going into that year, I think our team is going to be really good. And I know it's going to be hard for like a mid-major player to be seen and noticed by these coaches when there's so many good players in the NCAA that I was kind of like, okay, my team needs to have a good year. I need to have a good year. And then I'm going to try and get drafted. And once things started to take a turn, I was like, not my year. That's okay. It's not going to happen this year. I'm going to take some time off from volleyball and then see what I want to do. And so this stretch of time, like the beginning of 2026, I very much planned to not play volleyball. I was going to move out
Wow.
to California with my best friend. And so I just didn't mean that I didn't want to play volleyball anymore, but I really just wanted to see, like, okay, I have some of my life without volleyball. Do I miss it? Or am I good about this? I see my path with coaching and I want to just move forward with that. And that was my plan for the second half of our college season that year, really. I still was like thinking in the back of my brain, like, oh, should I try to play? But then it was just like, it's no big deal. I can play starting in like August abroad.
Mhm.
And so that was really, it wasn't, no, I'm not going to be able to play volleyball anymore. It just might be a little bit later. And
Mhm.
then it must have been like a week before season ended. We didn't even make it to the conference tournament this year. So it was just definitely a bummer. The season like literally got cut shorter than I was expecting. And so it was probably a week before that that I got an email, I guess, from the MLB saying, there's a chance you could be drafted. The media team, I think, needs your information in case you get drafted to be able to do the interview. So I was just like, oh my gosh, what? I thought I wasn't playing volleyball again for a while. And then I was like, oh, Maya, like, don't get your hopes up. Like, this is just an email. I bet they sent it out to a bunch of girls. And so I was kind of like teetering in between, wait, this is really cool. Wait, I haven't talked to any coaches. Nothing's going to happen. Wait, this is really cool though, even still, just to get the email. And so I think I like emailed the MLB with some film that I put together really quickly. I think I got my coaches to help me make like a really quick video. And I feel so bad, but my best friend would keep telling people like, no, Maya's gonna get drafted. And I was like, Addie, no, like I haven't talked to any coaches. Don't spread this around. This will be embarrassing. We can't talk about this. And I feel bad because I got so mad at her and she was just trying to hype me up and be a good friend. Um,
Yeah.
but so I think I sent them like a quick video, but I never talked to any coaches. I didn't do much after that. I was just like, oh, this is cool. If it happens, great. If not, I wasn't planning for this. I already know what I'm going to be doing, so it's no big deal. And then draft day comes, and I'm just really realizing that morning, I haven't talked to any coaches. I bet all these girls know exactly what's going to happen. So I just kind of was like, I'm going to watch because I was planning to watch whether I knew anything about myself or just because I like volleyball. I was like, yeah, this is a cool thing. I'm going to watch. And so I planned on watching it. And so even though I was like, oh, you're not getting drafted, it was still part of the plan. My best friend was leaving to go home for Thanksgiving. I was going to leave that day, but I would have been driving during the draft, and I was like, "It's gonna be so lame to sit in the car and find out you got drafted because someone called you." So I was just like, "Okay, I'm gonna just go home the next day. I'm gonna sit and watch the draft." My best friend she was packing everything up to leave. She was leaving. The airport is nowhere near Boone, so it's like a whole ordeal getting to the airport when you gotta go somewhere. And so she was packing up, and I was like, "You do what you need to do. When it gets to the later rounds, like, I'll call you back in." And like, we can sit and watch, like, the 4th round," is what I was thinking. And then she was like, "No, no, like, I don't wanna miss it." I was like, "No, no, like, it'll be the 4th round. I'll call you, don't worry." And so she was like, "What if I'm in the bathroom?" I was like, "Addie, go pack. I'll tell you, don't worry." And so, luckily, she wasn't peeing or using the bathroom or anything. She was just packing up, and I think she heard and came running out, and I was like, "Addie, oh my gosh." And so I
That's
saw my
cool.
name. It was really the coolest thing. I would, like, joke about me and say, like, "You have to call this the best day of your life now." And I was like, "Okay, this is officially the best day of my life." And so my parents
Right.
weren't there or anything, but I called them right after. They thought it was the coolest thing ever, but it was really cool to have my best friend there and to celebrate with me, and she was happier than I was. She was crying,
Oh,
I wasn't crying, so it was just really, like, a good moment for us as friends. But the funniest part of it is after they announced that, whatever, I got the text saying, "If you're available for an interview, we'd love to have you." And I was like, again, that day, I just came to the realization that I don't think this is for me. So I was not in any state to be interviewed with a camera or anything on the TV, and I was sitting
yeah.
in my comfy in bed. I think I had pimple patches on. My hair was not done. Like, I was not prepared to go on an interview. So they texted and I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay, let me try to put myself together." I think I threw my hair up really fast, put on an
Mm,
App State shirt or something. And we had my best friend, we were like sitting on the balcony in our apartment. And so she was holding the computer like on the balcony railing. I was trying to sit in, like, our chair we had out there, but the height just wasn't working, so I was, like, awkwardly squatting up in the chair to fit in the frame of the TV, and, it actually no one would know that's what the setup was. I fit in the screen perfectly, and you could actually see the reflection of the mountains, like, in our door, so it was actually gorgeous. But I think she, like, took a video of us preparing for the interview or, like, her squatting, holding the computer up while I'm, like, half sitting in the chair trying to make sure I'm in frame. So the whole day was crazy and funny, and then Angel called me that day, and I talked to him very briefly, but I was like, "I'm so in. This is so exciting," and getting drafted, you still don't know if you make the team or anything. So I
Yeah.
was like, this is a bit of a risk, kind of picking my life up to go here when maybe in a week or two I'm going to have nowhere to go. And so it was definitely nerve wracking being here in that first week. And a little bit of that is just the league, a little bit of that is just professional sports. It's professional, you're paid to do this, that's how it works. But I was very nervous because I knew that he didn't exactly draft me because I was gonna get there and be ready to go. He
Mhm.
was kind of like, "I think, like, you're gonna get better and you're gonna just continue to improve as you're here, and we're gonna just work with you." So it was hard because the level in the gym was far and above better than any gym that I've ever played in, far better than App State and the teams that we played against. So I definitely felt a little bit in over my head, and I honestly still do sometimes now, which is just so cool that one of the girls on our team, Megan Courtney, was on the US national team, was like an Olympic alternate. So the fact that the level in the gym is really good has nothing to do with me or my skill. It just is everyone's really good, and I just think that that's so cool. And so anytime I find myself like, this is really hard. I feel like I'm not quite good enough, way in over my head, just whatever it is on the harder days, especially just because we haven't had the wins we were probably hoping for this season. And so that always makes it a little bit harder. I'm just remembering like this is the coolest opportunity. And I always kind of go back to that day that I got drafted of this was so cool. I was just so excited for what's to come. I knew it wasn't going to be easy and I knew it wasn't always going to be good, so to say, either. But this has been the coolest opportunity again, even though the year hasn't been exactly what we were hoping for. I've met so many people, I think created so many opportunities for myself coaching wise.
Mhm.
This is something that I can put on my resume. So when coaches are like, what do you bring? I can
Absolutely.
say, I bring this professional experience in the
Mhm.
United States, and I have no idea what I'm going to be doing how much longer I'll be playing volleyball, but, like, I think I've gotten so much better from when I've gotten here, and so I'm so thankful for everything that came about from getting drafted. But yeah, that day
Mm.
was crazy cool. I was like, "Man, I gotta start working out again." Like, we had been on a break for, like, 2 weeks. I think season had been over for, like, a week and a half, 2 weeks at that point, and I was like, it had just been my birthday. I was totally taking a break and hanging out, and I
Mhm.
was like, "I gotta get back into it. We start in a week." And so I think I actually stuck with workouts, but I hadn't played volleyball since we finished, so I was like, "I guess I'm gonna just be going into it." It was only 2 weeks, so it's hardly that
Yeah.
much time, but yeah,
I'm
it
so
was
happy
crazy,
for you,
but
though. You
yes,
deserve it, though.
very
You are
cool.
amazing. You deserve a seat at the table, like you're saying you're playing with and against the best athletes, which makes you one of them too, which I think you need to remind yourself that, like, you're there for a reason, and like you're saying with the coaching thing, you have the pathway now to see, like, "Okay, if I was a college coach, how can I get these girls professional opportunities?" Right? Whether that's overseas, whether that's continuing to build, which it is in the US, which is amazing. You have
Yes,
so much, and I will tell you, coaching, I feel like, will find you when it's the right time too. You don't always
yes,
have to go looking for it or, like, finding, "Okay, when do I need to stop?" It's like I feel like you'll know when that time comes,
yes,
and it'll just all make sense and, like, not complete chapter necessarily, but just, like, open a door to the next chapter of this same journey, with volleyball, and I'm
yes.
really glad that you
It's
have that.
definitely it's definitely just another door on the same journey, like, it's
Mhm.
just how am I moving from playing volleyball to coaching volleyball and still
Yeah.
probably playing, whether I'm hopping in at practice or I'm sure I won't stop playing volleyball anytime soon, and what's actually really cool about the MLB and I have been really excited about for this past year is that since it's only in the winter, spring, you're totally off in the fall, summer, and that is when the NCAA teams play, and so I'm hoping in the next year to be able to coach in an NCAA team and then continue playing. Whether I'm in this league or where I'll be playing, I have no idea what's to come, but it's been really cool. So now I'm going to be able to simultaneously coach and live
Mhm.
out both of those dreams of playing professional volleyball and becoming a college coach. So I'm really looking
I love
forward
that.
to I don't know exactly where I'm gonna be in the fall, summer, but next NCAA season, I'm hoping to be a coach somewhere. So that's another thing that I love about this league specifically is that it allows for me to have both of those opportunities, which is something that
Yeah.
I very much don't take for granted.
No, it's perfect. I agree. I think I appreciate they're not all like stacked in the same time because then we get to enjoy volleyball longer. I think having the goals that you do, you're going to be so successful even after you're done officially playing. And I know that's hard too, no matter what sport it is or even being done in high school, right? Let's say it's still a hard transition to like not being a full-time athlete anymore. But if you have some way to fulfill your passion, like coaching, and that's like your future calling, I think it brings a sense of I don't know, peace in a way for when that time does come, and that's
Yes,
okay. And
absolutely.
I think
I'll
we
know that
all
it's
need to like trust that we have that next chapter. And if it's still being able to do something you love or something related to what you love, that's all we can ask for. And I'm really excited to see what your future holds. So
thank you.
it's all good stuff. You're amazing, and anywhere would be lucky to have you.
Yeah, I wouldn't even I guess let me just say really fast is that I feel like middles are kind of the position that everyone's like, "I don't wanna be a middle,"
I
but
know.
I played outside, and I would still choose middle again and again, and so give it a chance. My only beef with being a middle is that I really like to play defense, and you
Mm,
don't get to do that as much. But other than that, I think it's a very underappreciated position and you really, like, value the work you know you're putting in, and you don't need that praise from other people that outsides or setters tend to need to hear. They need to hear you say, "That was awesome," when as a middle, you've learned to figure it out for yourself. "I know that was awesome. I don't need you to tell me that." So, anyone out there, don't run away from being a middle. Very, very cool, and I think the hardest position
mhm.
sometimes, so you get to say you play the hardest position, but we can totally talk more about being a middle next time.
No, no, I appreciate that. And I was a middle. got pushed into being a middle in high school
Yeah.
because of my height, and looking back, it was the best thing for me long term. I didn't realize it at the time because nobody wanted to be a
Yes.
middle, obviously, but it made me much more agile, made me understand other positions like you're saying, and it made me really appreciate, the effort that middles do put in because we are constantly moving and people don't always realize that until they're pushed into it themselves of like how difficult a middle
Yes.
blocker it can be, especially when you're playing at such a fast pace like you guys do, college and professional. I give you guys so much credit. You're quick and you're reading
Yes.
things so quick, and it's just such a different level of craziness, honestly, that you guys are executing. But I give you so much credit for that too.
Yes, it was definitely an adjustment going from being a middle in college to being a middle in the MLB, but
I bet.
again, I love being a middle, and it's not for everyone, but don't shy away from it just because it's not the glorified position that maybe an
Yeah.
outside is.
Yeah. Absolutely. Maya, thank you so much for coming on Chase That. Your journey from Charlottesville to Boone to now professionally in Columbus is honestly the definition of paving your own path and earning what you deserve. You let your game speak volumes, and now you're making history in the professional volleyball world, which is so special. For everybody else listening, make sure you follow Maya on the Columbus Fury this season in the MLV. And thank you, Maya, again for joining Chase That this week. And we will see you all next Wednesday.
Thank you.